the more you pay, the more you reset the market, right? If you
100%.
follow the
I know that's
NFL,
what we talked about.
you reset the market. Like every year, the quarterback market is reset to some crazy amount of number. Once you go to a certain number, like there's no going back. The days of paying people like $3-4 for a top 5 recruiter, those days are long over.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Episode 4 here of Cards and Content. This time, we are live from the Dallas Card Show. No Grove City, Ohio for us on this episode. But the cool thing about the Dallas Card Show is so many people come to this card show. We'll get more into that here in a second, as I want to talk about it as the one thing on my mind today. But because we are down here filming and there's so many great people here, we will have some really cool interview guests over the next couple weeks. A couple of you mentioned on a previous episode when we asked, who would you guys like to see on this podcast? A couple of the popular answers will be joining us very soon on this podcast, and I'm extremely grateful for their time and willingness to be on here. So excited to share that content here in the immediate future. But the one thing on my mind today is we are at the best card show in the country. Obviously, the National is in a realm of its own. It is not in the same category, but outside of that, the Dallas Card Show has it all. It is it's really this perfect recipe. I was talking about this with one of our future podcast guests, and we talked about this idea that Dallas really has everything in one. It's got the longevity piece, right? You talk about a card show that's been open and run and successful for a while. When COVID was here, back in 2020, the November Dallas show that year was the first show I remember going to. It was amazing. There were so many people. There was great energy. And while the market has shifted, the demand and the interest in the Dallas Card Show has not. So it was open during COVID when a lot of states were closed, just led a lot of people to really this being the spot to go to for card shows. The other nice thing about it is the venue hosts the hotel and the show itself. And that is nice. The ability to walk upstairs to your room, set your stuff down, walk downstairs to trade night, that just makes it so much easier rather than having to take an Uber or car to another location each day, worry about parking. It is all in one venue. It makes it much, much nicer. You're walking distance to many food and restaurants and grocery stores, just that proximity piece. You're less than an hour away from a major airport in DFW. It's got growth potential. It has grown so much. You had a couple of the outside rooms when the show started. Now it's grown into many rooms here at this convention center. It's got a lot of big-time dealers. It's got grading companies. It really has it all. So the Dallas Card Show is one of the best. Kyle and his team do an amazing job with this show. So what are we looking for this weekend? What are we going to be trying to pick up? Really, if you guys follow our content, the diversity piece, trying to find a little bit of everything, is always on the top of our mind. But the cool thing about this show is, we talk about it a lot in this hobby around the relationship. The relationships matter. And I think the cool thing with Dallas is we've got a really strong group of 10 to 15 people that we seem to really consistently deal with at these shows that allow you to make up the core of the show. And then you've got a whole bunch else, 600 other plus tables to look at and deal with so much variety. So going to be filming a bunch of different content, looking for a bunch of different things, but definitely excited to be here in beautiful 83-degree Dallas weather. Excited to get some of these interviews and show you guys those here soon on the channel. Now, not gonna keep this one a little bit shorter and sweeter than we might normally. I know last week's episode was quite a bit longer, so we're gonna do a little bit of Q&A. Shout out to everybody who submitted questions. If you guys are not already, make sure you check out the podcast on Instagram. It's just Cards and Content on Instagram. We submitted, I know last week we talked about the pickup of the week. I've got those to share, and then we've submitted I've put something up on the story to get some questions from y'all around some things we can answer. We'll talk about a couple of those today. We'll get into our interview guest. We'll talk about some of the upcoming products, and we'll wrap this one up. The interview is a fun one today, but it is, I think, around 45 minutes. So in terms of the pickups of the week, I said last week I was going to do one, give some love, but I've got two this week that I think are they're going to be fun to share. First off, my guy Luke. So Luke's _card_lot on IG picked up this really cool Mike Trout card, and it's got a story, and I love the story behind this. I talk about this a lot, but it's not necessarily what we collect, but why we collect. My guy Luke's got a great story here. It's a Mike Trout Tier 1 logo patch from the All-Star game. It is a crazy patch. And it says, this is his message, his blurb on this one. It says, I got an odd card with a story to go with it for my PC this week. It is a 2024 1-of-1 Topps Definitive game-used patch of Mike Trout from the 2015 All-Star game. So kind of crazy to see a 2024 card with a 2015 patch 9 years later. He said, 2015 is the year I graduated high school, and for my senior trip, my parents took me and my younger sister to All-Star Weekend in Cincinnati. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I will never forget. Trout led off the All-Star game with a home run and MVP. So to add this Cincinnati All-Star patch to my collection, I was not necessarily looking for it, but I'm glad it came my way. The patch is one, absolutely disgusting, but I love cards, love unique game-used patches. That's obviously awesome. Great question one day I would love to pull y'all on is game-used patch on card auto. I lean game-used patch. I think that's a much harder thing to find these days. Give me the game-used patch. But I'm always curious. Game-used patch on card auto. Which one are you taking? But the patch is incredible. It says All-Star Game 2015 Cincinnati. Again, the stories behind them are what make them. He's got a picture of Trout in the All-Star Game patch. Absolutely incredible piece. Shout out to my guy Luke on that. But I said I was going to do one. I've got one that's way too cool and a little story behind it. So Kayla, it's Kayla.collects on IG. One of the best people in the hobby. If you guys don't follow Kayla, you have to check her out. She's a great ambassador for this hobby. She's a great human. Big fan of Kayla. She said, I super collect Austin Hayes, and at the Philly show this past weekend, I was able to pick up my first game-used jersey of him for my collection. To make it cooler, it was the Philadelphia Phillies City Connect jersey in Philly. I don't think you can go wrong. This is something I got from a good friend, Jimmy at Kentucky Basketball Cards. This is something I saw him do, and I love this concept of buying something of a player from that city while in that city. We did this in New York for Fanatics Fest. First time Fanatics Fest ever happened. Picked up a Aaron Judge game-used 1-of-1 logo it was like a London Series logo on a baseball patch auto, like I think it's a PSA 9. To pick that up in New York for the first ever Fanatics Fest of a Yankee great, just a really cool card, cool story. Buying a Devin Hester card in Chicago. We went to the Toronto Expo for the first time ever, picked up an Austin Matthews Toronto Maple Leafs playoff game-used jersey in Toronto. I love this idea of buying something at the show of a person from that city, in that city. I think it makes it a lot more exciting, just adds to the excitement around acquiring that item. So shout out to Kayla. Again, if you guys are not following her or Luke, make sure you guys check them out. But we've got a few Q&As this week. Want to answer a couple of these questions. As always, would love your guys' feedback on these. Drop a comment on IG, shoot us a DM. Love to have some conversations. I know a lot of people have sent over some feedback about the show. Always taking that, always trying to make this as best as we possibly can. So trying to fix some of the mic issues, trying to fix, giving some opinions on these. I've gotten some feedback on these. So just know we see that, and we're doing our best to improve. There's a bunch of them here. Shout out to one of my great friends in this hobby, Stephanie, Mama Breaks. She has some absolutely incredible cards. She has some incredible questions. Most of them are full of satire, such as, how is Ryan's hair always so perfect? Drop the routine, please. So shout out to Stephanie for some amazing hard-hitting questions like that. But she did ask a funny question. What's worse, getting lowballed on a grail or getting ghosted after agreeing on a deal? It has to be getting ghosted on agreeing on a deal. Thinking you're getting something to not come through at all. Give me the getting ghosted on a deal. Definitely would prefer that doesn't happen. M.I.K.2.1 said, are sticker autos more value than certified PSA BGS? Basically in-person autos. If so, why? And I think this is a fair question. You know, the in-person auto love, I don't follow it enough. So to speak about it like I'm an expert would be foolish. I don't collect the, signed rookie card autos like a Tom Brady in-person Bowman auto that's authenticated, or a Joe Montana signed rookie card that's authenticated. It's not a market I've ever gotten super into. It's just not what I prefer to collect. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I think it's awesome. It's very cool. It's very unique, but it's not something I've done. The one experience I have in this is around F1. My wife and I went to an F1 race in Austin, Texas a few years back, and got a couple driver autographs on first-year Topps Chrome cards. Verstappen, George Russell, Vettel, a few different guys. And, I know one of the reasons I was intrigued by that is, one, different colored pen. I love this. I love on some of those Chrome cards, I have a George Russell. It's one of my favorites. It's my wife's favorite driver. But we got it signed an orange pen. A lot of the Topps or the Panini stuff, most common signatures, leave any company really. You've got like black ink for the most part, maybe some blue, maybe red. Panini Pen Pals has like purple and green and other colors, but for the most part, it's pretty standard black or blue. On the Chrome George Russell, we got an orange signature, so it pops a lot more, looks really good. And the other piece of that is the first year Topps Chrome for F1 is sticker. They're not on-card autos. The George Russell is a sticker auto. So to be able to get an on-card auto from a sticker-dominated product, I was intrigued by that idea. But it definitely sells less than the actual George Russell auto. Why is that? It's a good question. It's PSA's telling you it's authentic if they're telling you it's real. Why would an on-card auto sell for more than something you could get out of a pack? Fair debate. I don't know if I have an immediate answer on that. I would probably like to lean on maybe somebody that is more focused on that piece of the hobby, that piece of their collecting, around the signed rookies, PSA, BGS authentic, versus that. Like I said, I've got experience doing it, but I don't know if I have a great answer as to why it would sell for more. I'd probably have to think about that a little bit harder and understand, I don't know. I'd have to really think about that. I think it's an interesting question. So if you guys have any experience in that piece of the hobby and you have an opinion on that, let me know. I would love to catch up on it on next week's episode. Tyler _ is it Simo on IG, I believe. Is it, how do you get started finding deals on cards to sell? I've done some sales, but is it just patience? Great question. Patience is definitely a piece of it. I think some other things that go into this is, you've got to know what you're looking for. I think if you go to, we don't spend as much time on tables that have mostly vintage, right? I don't know it as well. It is not a part of my everyday, card buying and selling. So because I don't know as much about it, I don't spend as much time in it. And, I know football a lot better. So when I go up to tables and I've got to, because we transact a lot on a daily basis, I feel like we have a good idea of the market on a lot of football type stuff, especially more modern. So I think the big thing is, understanding what you're after and what some of that stuff sells for. You just can't go into it blind. You can, but again, just the time needed to look up the cards. If you're searching for deals, this says, the question was deals on cards to sell. So I'm assuming that means something to make money on. So if that's the case, knowing what you're looking for, there's the nice thing about the hobby now, and this leads to more opportunity to buy and sell, buy and to flip, deals, is there's so many places to buy cards, right? We're at the Dallas Card Show. You've got multiple live selling platforms. Obviously, we love Whatnot, and you can get on there and you can buy from thousands of different sellers from different categories at any time. You can get on eBay and find anything. You can get on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Twitter. There's a card shops, there's card shows, there's places to buy cards everywhere. So the deals, again, understanding what you're looking for, understanding the market. Patience is a big piece of this, but understanding that there's a lot of places to sell. If you look hard enough, you can definitely find it. I think buying in bulk is a strategy we use a lot when really looking for deals, taking on some of the work that maybe others don't want to do, whether that's an entire collection, whether that's a value box, whether that is, 5 cards in one deal. I think bulk has been something we've used, but I don't assume it's common. Somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I have a deal that's worth 100, I would take 50. So I would imagine it's I know it takes more work than that. So patience, but understanding those other pieces definitely helps. My guy, cards, it's underscore cards, underscore cards, underscore cards, underscore. A lot of underscores in some of these usernames this week. Underscores and periods. Is Danny Dimes worth investing for the upcoming season? Listen, the off season is a wild time in sports cards. You've got every summer every fan, every collector is convinced. I shouldn't say every collector, that is not fair. But the off season is the time where belief is built into cards. This person is going to start. This person is going to have a big year. It happens every year. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. I am a believer at this point that guys like Danny Dimes are of really no interest to me. I feel like when a guy changes teams multiple times and has not shown any crazy signs of success, he's had moments, but I wouldn't say Danny Dimes has shown you anything that looks, like he's going to be a world-class quarterback. There's a lot of guys that haven't shown you that, so this is not just picking on Danny Dimes. I love this idea that Justin Fields will be something. Unfortunately, it's with the Jets, but he might not be, right? So guys like that, the nice part is they're probably a lot cheaper than they were at peak during their rookie season. So there's always a potential that Danny Dimes could be a Sam Darnold, right? Maybe it's the, third or fourth stop on the journey where you get an opportunity and you make the most of it. Do I think it's going to be in Indianapolis for Danny Dimes? No, I am not personally a believer in Danny Dimes. But this idea that you can buy guys during the offseason and resell them later is definitely a thing. Danny Dimes is one of many guys that people will buy. There are people buying Danny Dimes cards now to sell at the National, among with many other quarterbacks. Who is the right guy? That's to be determined. But I do think this idea, we talked about it again with the podcast, is there's this idea that you'll be able to, the market is very cyclical with this stuff. In nearly 20 years of doing this, the off-season buzz around quarterbacks, you're in free agency mode now, that stuff's going to be in demand. You're going to get weapons at the draft. You're going to have off-season, the spring training reports. You're going to have a lot of those things coming out of camp, and people are going to have buzz. This is not new. There's buzz every year going into every season, and again, everybody believes it's my team's time this year to get it done, and that creates demand and interest in transactions at the National around football and around quarterbacks. Happens every year. Again, who to buy, what to buy, it's not as much our thing as much anymore. We don't do as much of the prospecting and, hey, buy a lot of these guys to resell later. But it is a piece of the market. Do you guys think Danny Dimes is going to be the guy to buy? Yes, no. Does the price intrigue you enough to buy him? You guys let me know. My guy, Cards wants to know. For me, not as much. Last one here, we'll get to some other stuff on the next one. So if you guys want to see more Q&A, definitely get those comments in. We got quite a few here. Card Collector 149, love the name, said, what's your take on buying injured players? For example, Wemby, is this an opportunity or is this too risky? I think it's definitely an opportunity, but it definitely has a lot of risk for sure. with the Wemby being a great example here, the market is definitely going to come down on the Wemby stuff. I think there's probably some time on Wemby. You're not even through the basketball season yet. When is he going to play? Hard. I don't know. I have not looked into this. So my understanding is just he's out for the entire year. So if he's out for the entire year, you've got through the basketball season. I mean, when's the basketball season start? October, right? So if we've got that long to buy Danny Dimes. If we've got that long to buy Wemby, you're 8 months away, 7 months away from him playing a basketball game. I don't know if this close to the injury is the time to buy. I think the opportunity with guys like that is when guys are out for the year, when they're not relevant, when they're out of media attention, some people forget about him. People are going to move on to the next guy. Shea, he's going to win MVP. Jokic puts up 30, 20, 20. LeBron, the Lakers are 2 in the West. People move to those kind of things, and then the attention falls on that player, gives you a potential opportunity. If Wemby comes out on game 1 next year in the 25-26 season and puts up 45, 15, and 15, 45, 15, and 10, or whatever, any kind of triple-double, yeah, I would imagine there's demand around Wemby cards. Is that the strategy you want? Do you want to buy a guy now and save him for 7-8 months? The idea is, how much can he grow? How much can any player, this could be any argument for any player, how much opportunity is there to grow over that time? For me, I like this idea of, rather than maybe buy one particular player, what are you going to spend on a Wemby card? $1,000 on an auto? If you have $1,000 to buy and to make plays on, I like this notion of, I'd rather buy a $1,000 deal and flip the $1,000 deal once a month. Even at making $100 a month for those 7 months, making 10% on your money over 7 months, you're making it's going to grow. There's going to be, you're going to make more. If you could get a $1,000 deal, flip it for $100 more a month. Even if it's $50, how much can that $1,000 Wemby grow in that 7-month period? To me, I like the idea of continuing to transact. I think it's different if you've got a lot more free capital and free things to buy and you can make more plays. But if the budget is a little bit smaller, buying a Wemby card and saying, I'm going to hold this for 7 months and flip it, how much money can you really make on a Wemby card at $1,000? It's an auto. Is it going to go for $5,000? I don't think so. Is it going to go for $1,500? Well, I would imagine in that 7 months you held on to the Wemby. I like the argument that I could flip that money more, flipping deals, transacting, learning what's hot, what's not, because you're getting value in the actual transacting itself. You're learning what people are buying, what they're what people want, the demand. You're learning things there. So I like the idea of flipping it. So while there is a play, and some people will say, hey, I've got money, I want to put $5,000 in Wemby right now because I believe when he comes back, there will be more demand and his stuff will be worth more. And that $5,000 won't change that person's particular life. They can keep it off to the sideline. It's just a passive investment. Could happen, sure. I won't argue that. Wemby looks to be a generational player. He seems to have it all put together. I believe this is the same injury that ended Chris Bosh's career, so there is some long-term concern there. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to sit here and play that on the likelihood it ends Wemby's career or doesn't. If Wemby comes back and is the player he was before, I believe there will be an opportunity to buy his stuff and to sell it at a later point in time. How much you spend, what you buy, why you buy it, where you buy it, that is advice for a different day. But the question says, buying injured players, is there an opportunity? Could be. There's two different ways to look at it. You've got the idea that it's passive and it's just completely off to the side. But if you can transact and you can keep the money moving and you're in it to flip and consistently you're trying to grow something and you're on a smaller budget, I like the idea of transacting and making more things happen rather than just keeping it off to the side. So different arguments, hopefully get to the same answer. Now, we do have a giveaway. We've got the Lorcana pack. B-Dub, I think you got it. Got a winner? All right, so my guy B-Dub's got our winner here. Is it the John one? All right, so talking about the question last week was, what was one segment you want to see added to the show? We picked a winner on YouTube. We will continue to pick winners on YouTube there, so make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, check it out on YouTube. Brian will put the name up here, but it's like John Tancredi maybe? It says, would love to see a question of the week segment. Where can we ask you or featured guest a question? Love this idea to be able to add guest questions. We've been having trouble like really getting ahead on guests, especially because we want to keep it timely. So we'll work on that, but I love that idea. It says, also really enjoyed the what I'm buying type segment featured this week. Would love to hear more about your weekly pickups. Appreciate that, John. Brian will respond here. Reach out to me on IG. I'll get you that pack sent out. But we do have another giveaway this week as we head into this week's interview. Our friends at Leaf, we didn't talk about this on the interview. We sat down with CJ Breen over at Leaf, and he gave us a box afterwards to give away. So I'll put that, we'll put a graphic up here. I actually don't have it with me. We've got a Leaf Trinity Football Hobby Box. This is a box we've ripped a couple times. We've got some insane patches in it. They've got booklets, a lot of upcoming draft guys. So if you guys want to win a box of Leaf Trinity Football, you'll get more of it in the interview if you stay for that. But one of the things we talk about in there is some of Leaf's autograph guests. What I want to know from you guys is who would you want to see Leaf add to their autograph trading cards, whether it's an online exclusive or to a product. They do Pops Entry, they do poker, they do sports. There's so many different things, but they've done a lot of online exclusives. Our first pitch card with Leaf was an online exclusive. So who's somebody, celebrity, card person, athlete, anyone, let us know in the comments who you want to see Leaf add as an autograph trading card in the future. We'll pick one person on next week's episode. We'll send you a box of Leaf Trinity Football. Shout out to our friends at Leaf for that box. But let's kick it over to the interview with CJ at the Leaf headquarters. All right, guys, we are back. Another interview. A special guest today, live from Dallas, pre-Dallas Card Show with my guy, CJ. We're here at the Leaf headquarters. CJ, first off, thank you for coming on the pod.
Thanks for having me. I know you've been here before, and it's always a treat to have you in. Over the last few years, it's been fun to grow our relationship, and man, podcast, I couldn't ask for a better person to chat with.
This is, well, first off, thank you for the kind words. It's been fun to, be here, film some really cool card content. We've done some cool things together. I know last time we were here, we got to, tour this place, tour the warehouse, see, how the process works with making trading cards. It was honestly some of the cooler content we did that year. It was, we got a lot of good feedback from that. I know those videos were shared, so it was really cool. And that's one thing I've appreciated so much about Leaf and, yours and I's relationship, and just the candidness around some of this stuff. I'm sure we'll get more into it here as we get through this podcast, but, a complete side note is just the openness from Leaf. This is not something you get from a lot of the bigger companies. It's a lot more, secretive. And I think it's something I've always appreciated about, our relationship, the Leaf as a company. So excited for this. I think we're going to talk about some cool stuff once again.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to have you in here, and open door policy. Like anytime we have a guest or any athlete come through, everything is open for discussion. We want you to see it. We encourage it. We encourage the game used. We want to show off all these unique pieces of history that not everyone gets to see. So sharing that with your fans and community is, just been a blessing.
Yeah, I love it. Let me backtrack a little bit. I know a good about you. We've, like you said, we've developed our relationship, but to the listener, to somebody that doesn't know you, who are you and how did you get here?
Yeah, so I'm current director of marketing and licensing, as well as player relations at Leaf Trading Cards. Been here for just about 3 years and feels like a lifetime. Once you're in the trenches, it doesn't feel like work. So coming to every day here, it's like literally like I'm in La La Land. I get to talk to athletes and celebrities and have a great team surrounded around me is awesome. Background is about myself, ex-college baseball player, played a year of professional players in indie ball. From there, I've always had a passion for trading cards. I honestly got kicked back up, which I know a lot of people watching this. It's Ryan brought back to the hobby over COVID, watching the videos, watching the vlogs. I'm like, this is it brings the inner kid out of you when you watch your videos, and everyone watched the video and the kids coming up to you. But like as you know, a 20-something-year-old, like, heck yeah, I want to go to like the show. I want to interact with these people. How I really got back into it is, besides watching your videos, was flipping things, going to estate sales, going to antique malls, flea markets, garage sales. As you know, and anyone watching this video, when you buy something for $1 and you sell it for 10, it's like this dopamine rush to your brain.
For sure.
That like, it's like, heck yeah, like I just bought this, you know, t-shirt for $1, vintage t-shirt, and I sold it for $100 on eBay. Like, man, I might just quit my day job and do this. So that's kind of my background story. I always loved cards as a kid. Nothing, you know, beats ripping packs with your friends, trading, and then, you know, using those skills that, you know, you teach a lot of those kids, like, hey, like, actually this is worth $20 and you're trying to sell it to me for $5, you know, let me be fair to you. Like, it's that, like, teaching the younger generations. Just super blessed to have a great, you know, family around me that taught me these life lesson skills. A lot of people don't know the street smarts, you know, hustling and flipping, and I think that's where you know, I got a lot of it from my parents and, you know, people that surrounded me.
That's awesome. Love it. Now, when you came to Leaf, were you in the role you were in now, or have you always been in this role?
It's funny you mentioned that. Like, I originally came to Leaf to just do social media. Fresh out of college, running our Leaf social media. Before I was here, there was no social media director ever. So I'm taking over a clean slate. I had like never done social media really. Like, I've done my own Instagram, but like taking over companies, like what they want. And they're like, CJ, stop asking me. I don't know anything about social media. Like, we brought you in to do it. I'm like, all right. So, you know, really just, you know, took time studying it, you know, tried a million things out and, you know, saw what worked. How I got to the current role is, you know, we'd have weekly Monday morning meetings and I pitched them pickleball. Like, all right, CJ, you've been here for like a week. Like, I don't, like, stop pitching stuff. So I kept pitching things and, you know, I was persistent on pickleball. They're like, CJ, if you can go sign one, like, yeah, we'll try it on the website. We tried Catherine Parento, the #2 pickleball player in the world. I did the signing with her, brought the autographs back. We did a web exclusive. They sold out in 3 minutes. Everyone on the offense is like, are you like, someone's playing a joke on us? Like, no way this actually worked. And they were reselling for, you know, $50, $60, $70 on eBay, and people were making money. So they're like, all right, let's do another one. Do Annalie Waters. Yeah. It literally crashed our e-commerce page. So they're like, all right, maybe we have something here. Maybe we'll trust this kid. So it turned out to be a whole product, a pickleball product, which we made 2 products of. So going from a 0 market cap of pickleball trading cards to over $1 million worth of pickleball cards being traded, they're like, all right, like, we'll listen to you, and, you know, we'll let you do your thing. And it kind of just stemmed from there. You know, as you know, it's not a 9 to 5.
Oh yeah. Like,
constantly, like, I'm getting home, like, what is missing in the card world, right? Dropping the inscriptions, doing the Pete Weber, who do you think you are, I am. Like,
that was a great card. I have one of those.
So, like, me just liking these cool things, and I'll go home and call my dad. I'm like, my dad's a super creative person. He's like, just think off the wall. And I'm like, man, like, every year they post this meme of Pete Weber. Pete Weber has autographs, but like never wrote an inscription before. So I'm on Instagram looking up who reps Pete Weber. No one reps Pete Weber. His stepdaughter is running his Instagram, or his wife, who I'm, you know, really close with now, is running all her social media. So I'm blowing up Pete Weber's social media. I'm like, hey, like, what's a good number to call you or reach you at? I get blown off. Finally, they like reach out. They're like, CJ, what do you want? I'm like, hey, like, I want to offer you an autograph deal. You know, write Pete's, you know, phrase. You know, we come to agreement, and we drop the cards, and they sell out.
They're big.
They're do like some of these were going $400 or $500 at peak. Well, the thing people don't know, and maybe you know if you bought them at when it first dropped, is we oversold. Oh. It's numbered to 300. We oversold on accident because it was sold out so quick that we accidentally thought we put the wrong number in. So they're like, we oversold by 100. So
that's how you got the gold?
The gold 100.
Because I have a gold one.
Yes. So I have to call Pete, like, hey, Pete, like, do you mind signing that? Like, we messed up. Like, yeah, sure, CJ, I'll sign these. Like, maybe he'll leave me alone. But from there, like, that relationship has grown. And, like, I'll text Pete and his wife on a daily basis. or a weekly basis, checking in on see how they're doing, send them a little something here and there. He's come to our facility, we phone him out.
You've done some cool stuff with Pete.
Yeah, it's been to the national. Like the relationship has just grown. Like we had a who do you think you are, I am contest at the national, people reenacting it, like people throwing glasses. I think the national got a little upset with us for like how noisy it was, but it's just all in good fun, and you know, I'm so blessed, and I would say how I'm in this position is, you know, Pete Weber. So just relationships building, and you know, kind of how I got here.
That's awesome. So shout out to Pete Weber
for sure.
You know, career path. Now you talk about Pete Weber, you talk about you know that, and obviously it's such a positive light that was instrumental in like your career and your path here, but more as like a company, maybe kind of the other end of that, like what have been some of the obstacles you've had to overcome, and you know, as a company, like, you know, just Leaf in general, like in the 3 years you've been, almost 3 years you've been here, what would you say some of those, you know, maybe the toughest hurdle you've had to overcome is?
Obviously unlicensed. Try to make unlicensed cards cool again. That's what I try to tell people. When you go talk to baseball players and football players and basketball players, they usually know what Leaf is. They know what trading cards is. But doing these influencer deals like I do some of the celebrity deals, it's like, what's Leaf? Well, like, have you ever opened, like, do you want baseball cards? They're like, yeah. Like, you know, Topps, Upper Deck. Oh, yeah. Like, obviously, like, they know, like, the marquee names. If you don't even collect cards, you know these names, right? Just because it's so been in your face for so long.
Yep, sure.
They don't realize the heritage behind Leafs. Jackie Robinson's first rookie card, and it has Frank Thomas, you know, iconic rookie cards. So it has some heritage behind it, but just really explain to them, like, you know, we're not just, you know, an alternative company. Like, we're one of the marquee companies, you know, in the space. You know, we're able to offer these people good money to sign autographs.
Good money, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, besides there being no logos on their logo, and we try to position the cards so you don't really have to pay attention to, you know, maybe the Florida Gator logo not being on the shirt or uniform. It really doesn't matter as much for celebrities because they're not wearing logos.
Yep.
So just teaching them what trading cards are, how popular cards are. Like, memorabilia and trading cards have never been bigger.
Yeah.
Easy way for them to make money and grow their brand. Like, a trading card lasts forever. People understand, like, when they have children and they can pass it on, like, hey, like, I have my dad's, you know, autographed Leaf card. Like, it's a pretty cool deal, and I know a lot of people are very thankful for what we've done for them, and, you know, and also growing their brand, putting them on our social media and, you know, hyping them up.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the segue into my next question, because right now, like, you're definitely the biggest company without the logos, right? There's really two that have access to them now, Panini and Topps, but that changes in the next, essentially, we'll just say 2 years, because I think it's early 2026, Panini loses NFL. So eventually we're headed to a world where Fanatics owns the exclusive rights for baseball, basketball, football, right? Among other things. When that day comes and you've got this new age of trading cards with one company having most of the licensing and all of the other companies not having the licensing, how do you envision Leaf standing out in that new world?
I think we've done it for so long, right? We've done it to such a high level. I think the collector base and community that collects Leaf is going to stick with Leaf. And we're constantly innovating, doing unique things. Greg Cohn, who does all our product development, he does such a good job. I don't know how this man, he's a vampire, he doesn't sleep. He's constantly working. Like, we listen to feedback, right? Yep. I think that how we can react is so much quicker than the other companies that you mentioned. With a product, an idea he comes up, you know, at his house or in the office or whatever he's, you know, doing his creative, you know, genius, we can have a product out in 3 months, start to finish. Or opposed to the larger companies that have to jump through 15 hoops or 15 people to do one job. We're able to react so quick. I know, to get these top players, Josh and myself, I give Josh the credit for all these exclusive deals we've done. And we'll talk about exclusives a little bit later, but we'll have all the top guys. We're not missing out on any of these top guys anymore. Before Leaf, this, you know, new age of exclusives, like, we were missing out on the Caitlin Clarks. We were missing out on the Victor Wembanyama's. That isn't going to happen anymore with our products. We've been aggressive from the high school standpoint and the college ranks early, building those relationships with, families, going to their games, going to, flying them and talking to them in their homes. We're almost like a college recruiter, in some sense. We're watching tape, we're listening to scouts, really investing in these players from a young age. It's more than just a trading card. You're building a brand for them, right? A trading card sets them up to get these other brand deals. They see them working with Leaf at such a young age. For some of these first people's deals is a trading card deal. Then the merch comes, then the headphone deals comes. But these brands want to see how they react to other brands. How are they easy to deal with? Yeah. Countless companies have asked us, like, hey, is so-and-so easy to work with?
Yeah.
And
it's like a job, like you're like a referral to, a lot of like other major companies for some of these, athletes that you're investing serious money and
real
time
dollars
into at such a young age.
From such a young age, these kids are touching a lot of money, like generational money. It's such a rewarding feeling seeing these people, and some of these sports really don't come from a lot, humble beginnings, a lot of these people. Now these people are touching money way earlier than they've ever seen. When you talk about a freshman in high school earning ungodly amount of money that people have never ever dream of touching as a 14, 15-year-old, can't even drive, are buying G-Wagons and Lambos. I'm like, man, like
gotta have one for when the day comes.
I wish I was a high school quarterback. So like, it's truly awesome to see just the landscape of how we're able to react. Leaf as a whole, I think it's just a family-first company, and I think people, really have paid attention to that the last few months.
Yeah, I think the ability to react in the market and get things to market super quick is definitely an advantage. Again, like your size is like your disadvantage and your advantage all in one, because like you said, just the ability to create, produce, and get a product on market is so much quicker, right? Like you don't have to deal with as much of the, some of the league, some of those like, images approved, like there's just a lot less that goes into it. But I think another thing is, and we talked about this when we came down and we did the tour, last time. The thing I've always liked about Leaf, and I think is underrated and I think missed in some of the sports card market today, is the game use piece. We saw the tour, we saw the game use items, but I believe most, if not all, of Leaf products now are game used pieces. Obviously, that's harder with, I don't know if Juju's not around here, Juju Lewis, some of those guys that don't have those game use pieces. But I think that's the one thing in today's market, because it's so much different now where game use is rare. Leaf has made that an emphasis as a part of your brand.
Where we lack in logos, we really make it up in game use. Greg spends an ungodly amount of time searching through auction houses. It's also collabing with players, getting these game use stuff. We're at the Super Bowl. We're in Jose Canseco and Josh, who is our president. They text on a daily basis. Like Jose Canseco is just texting Josh like back and forth, and he calls him like, "Hey, like, do you want to buy one of my bats?" And Josh's like, "Sure, like we can use it in number baseball." Just really diving in on getting the unique pieces that like no one else can get, and it takes a lot of time, right?
Sure.
Doing game use isn't easy. Like if it was easy, then like all the other companies would do it too. It takes a lot of time, a lot of capital, a lot of invested interest you have, and the lead time on making memorabilia cards takes a lot longer than making a normal card, which people don't understand. Because they see it's so prevalent, patch cards, but let's say you can get a normal product with no mem, and let's say it takes you 3-4 months to print. You have to add 2.5 months if you're doing game used or memorabilia cards, because it just takes so long to build for whatever reason from the printer. But on the auction house side of things, just putting the time, looking through interesting pieces. Game use has just been a vital part to us. Good. Like where else can you get a Kobe, LeBron, Pele, Mike Trout, Messi? The list goes on. Like Greg comes up with these crazy combinations, and like really makes you think sometimes on some of the pairings. Like how did they like connect, or like maybe they're all from the it's the unique pairings are really awesome.
But that's another thing you don't have to deal with the leagues.
Correct.
Right? Because since you don't deal with them, you can put, Tom Brady and Mark Wahlberg on a card. Like you can do Livy Dunn and Paul Skeens, and I'm going to get into that later, but you can make those cards exist where that's harder in some of the other ones. Topps has them on some of the first pitch cards with, wrappers, and, I think there's like a Juan Soto Daddy Yankee card, but like that's a very big part of Leafs brand, right? Like I've seen some of the 8-way autographs, the booklet autos, some of the craziest combinations, but I think that's what makes Leaf is that uniqueness.
Yeah, we definitely use it to our advantage.
For sure.
When you can put Messi and Tom Brady and all these on the card, like that would never be allowed, just because the cross-pollination isn't really allowed.
Yep.
You see it a little bit. You saw the Messi and Curry. I don't even know if it's been pulled, but that card that went viral, Leaf has done 100 times. It's like same autographs, same similar unlicensed position, and one is, let's say, 1,200, the other one is 20,000.
Yeah.
We're just trying to make sense of it. We will let the collector decide the value, obviously, on those things, but we offer such a great price point for collectors to collect the same autograph.
Now, you brought up the exclusivity piece. That is obviously such a big buzzword, big part of the market now because, you see it in football, right? I'm obviously a massive football collector. Even at the college ranks, right? You've got Panini with guys like in the college level, the Julian Sands, the Arch Mannings, the Quinn Ewers. They have a lot of those bigger name college prospects. And then you've got Topps that's got Marvin and Bo Nix and Caleb and Jaden Daniels. And it's a big piece in the market now. And when we came last time, we interviewed and we sat down and we did this talk, when we were touring, exclusivity was one of those things. I remember vividly Leaf saying, yeah, we're not really into it. We want everybody to have a fair shot at it. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like it's the exact opposite now. It seems like that has done a 360 since we've been here. And you mentioned it. You're getting some of these guys, a lot of these guys in high school. The Juju Lewis thing was one of the biggest ones I remember. I know Toby's behind us here. That was another big one. Talk me through why that's changed, how we got here in, a year.
I think it's survival of the fittest, right? When you see other companies snagging up these guys, and it's not like I mentioned it, like we didn't have Victor Wembanyama, we didn't have Caitlin Clark. Those are big prospects that carry products. Yep. Like we can't afford to not have those people. Starting earlier and earlier, we are providing the collector the top names that we're going to take exclusive. Like I was showing you a list. There's almost 60 guys that we have exclusive from high school and current college guys. What I think we were discussing off camera was people don't recognize that DJ Legway is exclusive with Leaf moving forward. He will only, in this upcoming season, he will only have Leaf autographs. Julian Lewis is exclusive, going to be the Colorado starting quarterback. Deion Sanders, there's going to be a ton of attention around him. Number 2 prospect, committed on the Pat McAfee show. We also have Deuce Knight. I think he was the 3rd quarterback in this year's class, 5-star recruit, going to compete at Auburn for a starting job. And even moving to next year, almost all those guys are exclusive with Leaf, the top players. You have Faison Brandon, the number 1 recruit. I think in the next year and a half, you're really going to feel that Leaf is the home of college football products. Yes, we don't have the marks, but if you want a Faison Brandon autograph, if you want the top guys, you're going to have to come to Leaf. Especially moving forward, like Julian Lewis and Faison and all these other guys, Ryder Lyons, number 3 prospect next year's class, like the top guys. Like imagine if Caleb Williams never had a Bowman U card, right? Like the demand for a Leaf autograph definitely goes up. And as before, like if you had the option of buying a licensed versus unlicensed, I mean, we'd be fooling ourselves saying that like, which one would you rather have? We know the better price point.
Yep.
Which one would you rather have? Well, when there is no option, when we're providing those to the customers, the Leaf is going to be the home for those guys.
Just crazy how how quickly this has changed though, because I remember having conversations previously around like the thought of paying high school guys and gals what you're paying them now. 18 months ago, it has changed a lot, right? I know there's an example that sticks with me because I wish this deal would have gone through, because it would have been amazing. I would have loved it. But Jeremiah Smith, you shake your head. I know a little bit about this. That was an offer you had available. Was this a year ago before you ever stepped on an Ohio State campus?
Maybe less than a year.
Maybe less than a year ago. I'll let you kind of explain it because you know a lot more about it than I do.
So we'd get approached with a ton of deals. NIL is kind of the wild, wild west. Anyone that deals with NIL brand deals, you'll know that a million people hit you up. I can get you so-and-so. But for who you're talking about, we got offered for $10 an autograph. Mind you, a year ago, that was like a first round receiver. Like, you're paying this amount for a high school kid coming out, like yeah, right, like pound sand, like, we'll pass, I mean, I went up and, like, hey, like, have you seen some of his spring ball videos? Like, this dude's making insane catches. I'm like, Josh, like, first round, like, receivers getting this paid. Like, we don't want, the more you pay, the more you reset the market, right? If you follow the NFL,
that's what we talked about.
You reset the market. Like, every year, the quarterback market is reset to some crazy amount of number. And it's the same thing with autograph prices. Once you go to a certain number, like, there's no going back. The days of paying people like $3-4 for, a top, 5 recruit, or recruit's crazy to sound, but like now draft pick, like, those days are long over, which is, sad because we wish we had them in our products. Maybe we will one day. But yesterday's prices aren't today's prices. And like, this draft class are like, holy cow, like, there's a real money, a lot of money being spent. NIL is not going back. It's only going, up and forward, especially with agents and, things. It's not family members, it's agents doing these deals. So, it's been a wild ride.
But that probably has a pretty significant impact on the price of product. Because, you and I talked about it, for instance, a first round running back is significantly more expensive now for a bigger name, right, than 2 years ago. That cost is definitely going into the price of a product because you're not paying these guys $3 to $4. You're not paying first round quarterbacks today what you were paying them 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I hate it for the end consumer, right? Exclusives and the NIL have reset the market, affecting card prices for the end consumer. When you open a box of cards, you don't think about how much is so-and-so getting paid in autograph. It'd make your head spin how much some of these players are making per autograph because there just won't more sign. These kids are making so much money from the collective and other brand deals, they don't need to sign autographs. Before, these kids, rookie class, needed to sign autographs or they weren't making a lot of money. Yeah.
Do you envision it being to the point where they don't sign at all or don't sign as many? Because we've talked about this. I know we've talked about this on some of the other content on our channel. Is by the time Caleb Williams got to the pros, he had a million autographs. He was in multi-years of Bowman. He's in Leaf. He's in a lot of things, right? So you get to the NFL. Normally, when you have rookie deals and you sign a bunch of stuff, these guys have signed so many things. So are we going more towards the point where a guy like Jeremiah Smith signs 1,000 total autographs or just not at all?
I think there's two ways we're gonna be able to see it in this market. There's like Bryce Underwood, who we were fortunate enough to sign autographs with. Hey, I know you're a Buckeye fan. I'm a Wolverine fan. I know. Being from Michigan, I gotta support my boys. But Bryce Underwood signing a $10 million NIL collective deal. What does he need? Like $10 million. Like, this next card money is just gravy, right?
Yep.
And these kids are so busy. Some of these kids don't care. They don't like at the end of the day. A lot of these, and especially if they don't understand cards, they don't really care. Like, what's this? It's not going to change their next dollar or next meal. And they're going to see the Pete Rose of the world that will just sign forever. They're like, oh, you're going to pay me to sign? Heck yeah, I'll sign my butt off. You're seeing that with a lot of these NIL kids. They want to sign everything and anything, say all muddy dollar. It depends on who your agent is and what your end goal is, right? If you sign your butt off now, when you get to the NFL, like you're devaluing your autograph price. So it's a double-edged sword because, cash in now while it's good, because maybe you don't turn out, you pan out. You're Jamarcus Russell. There's no memorabilia deal after your second year. You're gonna capitalize in your rookie year. So there's a double-edged sword, or you hold off and you get like the Charles Barkley money. He didn't sign forever.
Yep.
And then he signed, and now obviously his autographs can come back to earth. So there's a bunch of different ways to look at it. If I'm a player, heck yeah, I'm signing. It's the easiest money you'll ever make. And then the nice part about Leaf, opposed to other companies, we're not making you show up, do appearances. We're not bugging you every week to make a social post like some other companies are. These kids can sign in their underwear if they wanted to and send it back to us. I made a funny comment to you earlier, and I'm like, man, just asking for a photo of them and signing our stickers is like pulling tooth and nail. Like everything like is an extra fee these days. So, beforehand people were just happy and would send us whatever. Like, do you want us to come out there and do it? But it's kind of changed over the time. So in a short period of time.
So you do a lot of the autograph signings, a lot of those deals. You're just recently in Vegas for like Power Slap. I'll get more into some of the other, outside of the major sports here in a sec. But talk to me about, you've probably run into some interesting people. You've probably had some interesting interactions. Anything stand out? It's good, like either really good or really bad, as like, this is a core memory, I'll take this forever.
Well, what I will say is no one ever runs on time. I will say that. When you're dealing with athletes and celebrities, no one's on time. So take that into account that, book out your day as, do not disturb, I'm waiting on them. What stood out to me was working with a rapper named 42 Dugg. I was a big fan of being from Michigan. He's a Detroit rapper, getting to go out, to a show. And I was like, all right, it would be a cool opportunity. I fly in the morning of, we're supposed to meet at, 11 o'clock noon to do the signing. Well, then it gets pushed to, a couple hours. And I'm like, all right, I'm here, and like maybe I'll grab a coffee, grab a bite to eat. And then they're like, he's gonna do a radio. I'm like, all right. And he's actually just meet us at the show, the concert. I'm like, okay, like I'll meet you at the concert. And they put me in the back, and he's nowhere to be found. Like the guy that's performing at this concert where there's a couple thousand people waiting to watch him perform, nowhere to be found. 42 Dugg shows about 20 minutes before the concert. I have no access to him. He obviously is not going to sign before the concert now. They're like, CJ, follow me. I'm like, all right, where are we going? I'm on stage looking at everyone in the crowd. I'm like, I'm so out of place right now. Like, it's probably my second ever rap concert. And I'm there. Everyone's looking at me. I'm like, all right, do I dance? I'll just hang out, be cool. I'm like, all right. Performs for 2 hours. My legs are tired. I flew in this morning from Dallas to Wisconsin. I just want to go home. He gets off stage, he's shooting dice. I have he's locked himself in this room shooting dice with his friends. I'm like, all right, man, it's like 1 o'clock right now. Like I have a 6 a.m. flight. So like an hour goes by, finally like, all right, come on, you can do the signing. Mind you, 42 Dugg is supposed to sign 1,000 autographs. 1,000 autographs, if you're quick, depending on your autograph, and you can see it with how much pride they put in their autograph, it takes about 45 to an hour and a half time. So he signs 3 sheets of stickers. On every sheet, there's 30 autographs. So he signs 90 autographs for us. He's like, all right, man, we good? I'm like, as there's not a stack this thick of autographs in front of him, I'm like, hey, we gotta sign these tonight, well, I'll take them back and we'll wire you the money. He's like, man, I need the money right now. And I'm like, well, I don't have cash on me. I don't have the amount we were gonna pay him on me. I don't walk around with cash like that. He's like, all right, I'm not signing. I gotta go to an after party. I'm like, where are you going at 3 a.m.? At this time, it's 3 a.m. And he's like, I gotta go to an after party. I'm like, all right, if you want to sign these autographs, I'm gonna send you my address, send them back, we'll pay you right away. I get on that plane, Like, there's no shot in heck he's sending these autographs back. Believe it or not, a month later, they show up at our doorstep, 42 Dog. So, I mean, like I said, we pay real money for these autographs, so he got paid. But, I mean, overall, like, how can you not love an experience like that? In the moment, I'm like, this sucks. Like, I hate my life.
Yep.
But, like, how many people get to sit, you know, on stage to have that view, and, like, it's something we take for advantage or take for granted. I know a lot of times a moment, like, you have these really cool experiences. You're at Ohio State, you're with professional athletes. Sometimes it could be a drag depending on the day or whatever you're feeling that day. But you're like, looking back, like, looking at my camera, like, that is sweet. Like, most people, like, they're like, think like it's like the most, you know, glitz and glamour when they see your Instagram. They don't see, like, the countless hours, you know, like, I'm getting a text from you at 11 o'clock at night or whatever. Like, work doesn't stop. They just see the Instagram portion of that. But for every one of those, there's an awesome story. The Uncle Ricos I get to work with from Napoleon Dynamite, the Nika Mules, the Cameron Brink. Cameron Brink's autograph, like, I don't know if you guys, I mean, you have to have seen with Caitlin Clark what her stuff does. I fly out to LA to do a signing with Cameron Brink. And Cameron Brink had just torn her ACL, so she's not, like, getting around really good. We're at some restaurant, we have a private room. You know, she's signing her autographs, and she is one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Really?
She's, like, it's so refreshing. Like, we're just, like, gossiping and this and that, and she was like, let me buy you dinner. I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean buy me dinner? Like, her and her fiance are like, I'm gonna buy you dinner. Like you don't see that too often. Most people, once they get up there, you know, they stretch their legs, like, all right, when's the money coming in, you know?
Yeah.
So it's always great to see those people. Just super fortunate to all those people that are, you know, care about the autographs and consumer, because at the end of the day, like, it's not me who they're affecting, it's the end consumer. And that's what, you know, I really care about.
Yeah. You bring up, you know, 42 Doug, like you brought up, you know, Uncle Rico. I feel like one thing you do well, and I know we've talked about this, is Leaf has this emphasis on social and culture and really the hobby, right? You think about some of these moments, even more recently, you know, in the last year, some of the things that Leaf has made cards of. Obviously, I'm eternally grateful for a first pitch card. Like, that was super cool to be able to experience that and go through that with you, and to have a trading card. Like you said, that moment, you mentioned it earlier, and the first thing that popped in my head was, I will be able to show my son one day, this is a trading card that I got to do in collaboration with Leaf for this moment. It was the first time my son ever went to a baseball game. I got to throw the first pitch. That is something I will cherish as long as I'm alive. You've got other card people in products as well. You know, Blez is in poker, right? Jared's obviously a big advocate for the hobby. He has a big time spotlight in some of those moments. He's in poker. The Livy Dunn, Paul Skeen dual auto. Brian and I were looking at this on the plane flying here. There are dual autos of that card that are like $750, like huge sales. You've done a lot of deals with different Barstool athletes. Talk to me about how and why those moments, those people are so big and such a part of the Leaf brand.
I think being an unlicensed company, you always have to be creative, staying on top of things. Culturally, like, we are so in tune. Like, people are annoyed when they're hanging out with me because I'm on my phone. Like, if I miss a tweet or I miss something, like you're getting passed by. Like, that's how quick our generation is. Like,
yep.
If you're not on something within 24 hours, all right, ship has sailed. Like, it's old news, right?
Yep.
Like, doing the Livy Dunn deal, like, it was between us and another company who she's going to sign for. Because the first time she was going to sign, she was only going to sign with one company, and she wasn't going to sign anymore. I'm in the trenches dealing with her agent, and I'm like giving her mom's number. They're in Fort Worth. I'm like, I'm going to go to the hotel. I'm going to sit with, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Dunn and her sister Jules, who I've had a relationship with now, like, super cool people. Like, I'm on the ball. Like, if something happens, like, I'm DMing someone. Like, I joke, like, my job title is professional DM slider. Like, if you don't have a DM from me, like, and you're an athlete or a celebrity, like, something's probably wrong. So, like, the importance is being so on time and timely. Like, for example, I'll never forget this. We dropped a Tommy DeVito Metallic Imaginations card. and it was like 2 weeks too late. Like, or maybe like, no, they joked it was like 10 minutes too late. We dropped this card and they announced like he's not the starter. Like, this is like peak like Tommy DeVito, like he's like the man. Cards are going bananas online. And we dropped this card and we sold like, I don't even know, an embarrassing number of cards that we thought we were supposed to sell. So they're like, yeah, better luck next time, like CJ, come up with a better idea.
Yeah.
So like, it's just, creating moments into trading cards. I think it's a lost art. Like, Ronnie Coleman had very, very few autographs. And then he had to, yeah, buddy, his famous inscription on a card. And collectors now can, collect people that they don't have, or, unique something that was never offered. So offering the collector things that aren't on the marketplace is kind of where we're headed, especially on the online exclusive side of things.
Yeah. I think as the, online, the influencer, the personality, whatever you want to call it, as that space has grown, obviously Barstool's done such a good job of growing that. As those spaces grow, a lot of those, people don't have trading cards. Like, I remember, you've done Jake Paul in the past. Like, you've had previously, like, Kim Kardashian's had autographs. Like, you go down the list, like the Pete Weber ones, like, you go down the list and there's so many, like, you look up, like, hey, I want an autograph of this person or this person. I'm still waiting on the day Mr. Beast has an autograph. Like, I'm if I know anything about you, you've been in those DMs
yeah.
trying to get that happen. But like, you think about it, like, what would it sell for if it happened? It would be a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that as like, because they don't have, a card outside of maybe one, like with Leaf, a lot. I feel like I think about that as, like Mr. Beast is the perfect example, where if he didn't have a card, his community is so large. The ability for Leaf to turn that into a moment, one, to collect the moment, but also the person, you may not get those again. Like, Kim Kardashian's not signing a bunch of cards, right? Like, there's not a lot of Uncle Rico cards out there. The ability to get the moment and the person is, to me, that twofold thing where it just, I think Leaf has done an incredible job of like turning that into a bigger part of their brand and a bigger part of the card market.
No, we really appreciate that. It's a lot of hard work. It's not easy as one might think. Getting autographed to card is a lot harder than some people might think. But like you said, like the Margot Robbies of the world, when we got Margot Robbie is not signing again. Like, once these people sign, they're done, one and done. Like, you look at a lot of these celebrities, like the Clint Eastwoods, like the Mark Wahlbergs, Ozzy Osbourne. Like, once these people like sign, they don't need the money, right?
Yep.
So it's usually a one and done. To do these deals is all relationship based, right? Like, if Margot Robbie's, people tell her the trading card's like not like of interest, she's not going to do it. So when it comes down to that, is they don't need money, right? And they don't think cards are cool, they're not going to do it. But if cards are cool to them, like I had Rachel Nichols come in here, we did a Whatnot break, and she thought it was the coolest thing ever that her kids now can have her cards because they rip packs all the time. Kevin Nagandi coming here, like Kevin Nagandi's
a huge card dude.
Huge card guy.
Big Bird guy, big Bird fan, but great guy and fellow card collector.
So it's awesome to get these people that actually like cards, that are celebrity based, into products because it actually means something. And now they're going to tell their friend, like, hey man, like if you sign these cards, you get X. Like, yeah, sign me up. And that's kind of how I got connected with Mike Malak, who is the co-host with Logan Paul on Impulsive. Him and I, have been in relationships, and he's gotten me a lot of great names just because I drove down to Austin, at his hotel, did an autograph signing, hung out with him. He was like, all I have to do is sign these? Like, this is the easiest deal I've ever done. Like, I don't have to do an ad. I don't got to think. Just sign my name. Give me the cash. So it's, when he's telling his friends on these calls, his friends on the phone with me, he's like, you need to sign a Leaf deal. Like, it's so cool to, be in the room with those people, but not only be in the room with them, but create friendships and relationships. Now I can just text Mike and I get a text back a minute later, like, hey, can you put me in a group chat with Dave Portnoy? No problem. Boom. Group chat with Dave Portnoy, like, hey Dave, like I see you're in Dallas. Do you want to sign? Like for the longest time, besides he has that Ginter, many other people have tried to get him, and we're absolutely refused. Put me in that group chat with Dave. Dave's like, you got 40 minutes, be at my hotel, I'll sign. Like, you have 40 minutes to get to my hotel or I'm not signing. Like, that's how a lot of these deals are. Like, it's just relationship based, and, we pride ourselves in, putting that person first, accommodating to them. But, yeah.
So you mentioned not needing money. One person that probably does not need money that you recently signed that I must say I don't think was as big of a news as it should have been, that has not signed in a long time, is Patrick Mahomes. Walk me through what that was like and how you ended up getting Patrick Mahomes, because I believe he's in multiple Leaf products as of this year. Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes has made his Leaf debut this year in multiple products so far. And I think it's gone under the radar for some reason. I don't know why, because he doesn't have autographs and licensed products. And I think when you go to a show and you see Mahomes autographs, you don't really pay attention to the year. And, he hasn't signed for a few years for the licensed company. And I think it just our testament of going above and beyond. Because do Leaf products need Patrick Mahomes? I mean, yes, it's a nice advantage, but like it comes with a cost. And consumer is going to get charged a little bit more. Like, you have to play the risk reward on these things. And ultimately, we're sitting at this very table discussing this. Like, yes, we need Patrick Mahomes. Go get him. So Josh and myself, mainly Josh. I'll give him credit. He is an animal. He's very connected with a lot of the football agents, and wound up getting Patrick Mahomes to sign for us. Man, like Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes duels in our products that are already out in collective this year, like they were redemptions in the products now fulfilled now that Patrick Mahomes is out of the Super Bowl and he's in Cancun or wherever he is signing our stickers, was able to return his autographs back. So moving forward, no Patrick Mahomes autographs or redemptions, just that one product. Wow. So I think it's a huge deal to have Patrick Mahomes in our products. And I think it just gives the end consumer just another reason to actually give Leaf a try. And for your shop, you carry Leaf.
Oh yeah.
And I think that
we saw a lot of it.
Right, and I think that a lot of people just don't understand that there's money to be made. Like when you break Leaf on odds end, and you're opening a case, you're going to make money. If you do the math, if you open some of these higher end products, I won't discuss the names, but if you're getting $40 back on a hobby box, you're like, heck yeah, let me buy another one. With us, we'd be shocked if you didn't break even or make some money back on most of the products. And then on odds end, you're gonna make money back, and then, or maybe PC something unique that we offer in our products. So Patrick Mahomes definitely, I think, is an underrated signing this year. Hopefully more people now know about it. I know you've been such a great advocate for Leaf.
So Mahomes, big addition. I joked earlier about Mr. Beast. I think that would be cool. Who's one guy on CJ's radar for the next year that you're like, I hope we get a deal done with this person and this person has a Leaf autograph card?
There's a couple names, and if anyone knows me at Leaf, they're like, yeah, CJ throws the craziest names out there. And per se, these are two names that, just collab together on a podcast that I'm like, I think these fan bases are very unique. And there's nothing out there to collect. One, Alex Cooper, monster. One of the biggest females in the game in media. I don't think you can find a bigger name right now. And then two, Monica Lewinsky, who was just on our podcast. I like the political things that we do. We try to play both sides. There's no right or wrong in politics. We're on middle. We want everyone to be happy with what they collect. You choose what you want to collect and what you believe in. But having a Monica Lewinsky autograph, she doesn't sign. I think she signed a handful of books when she did a book, but they're expensive. So I think maybe an inscription, playing into some, funny thing that, she had did in the past, or something wild that, only Leaf can do would be, something that I'd take pride in, because it's just, a unique offering that, is maybe a dream card to some people. Yeah. Maybe it's the 1%, but if you're doing, that to the 1%, maybe you have a client for life.
That would be cool. Yeah, Alex Cooper's definitely a huge name. That would be cool. I'm gonna definitely be intrigued to see what you guys come up with. I expect some big things here in the future. Now, I always end every podcast guest with the same question, and I would ask, curious your answer on this. You've been at Leaf now almost 3 years. Knowing what you know now, if you were starting over today, what advice would you give yourself?
As you know, like with media and content or whatever you're doing, you have to go all in. And I tell a lot of my friends that now are just getting out of college and they're looking for a job, if you are not all in at the job you're at, you need to find something different. Like you have to almost let it consume you to the point where like you're going home and you're doing more work. Like you want to have an unhealthy obsession with it, because those that do are very successful. Like you don't want to do that for your whole life, but now once you're all in, you're able to move up the ranks quicker at your position or wherever you are in life. If it's sports, like if you're an athlete, if you're not, training your hardest, you're not taking care of your body, you're not going to be great. Obviously, there's some exceptions. Zion can come off the bench and after eating, a cookout and still drop 30 on someone. But let's say for the 99%ers like us, that if you're not giving it your all and whatever you're doing, you're not going to be successful. And those people get passed up for promotion. I would say, go all in, have no regrets, and don't be afraid. Pick up the phone, text someone. Maybe someone right now is thinking about DMing you, but scared that maybe he will blow me off or whatnot. And I will say Ryan is the nicest human you'll ever meet. So odds on, when he has a chance to DM you, he's gonna give you a piece of advice or wisdom that, might kickstart you into something, whether it's cards or content. So I say just go all in, all gas, no brakes.
Love it. I think that's a great way to end it. Genuinely appreciate the time and excited to see what is in the future for you as a friend and also for Leaf.
Appreciate that. I know you guys, this podcast is going to blow up and do numbers. Next time I see you, you might be in Hollywood or something, so I appreciate you.
Don't know about that, but appreciate the kind words. All right, shout out to my guy, CJ, for coming on the pod. Absolutely incredible to have him there. Leaf has always been so gracious to, welcome us into their headquarters in Dallas. If you guys are not already, make sure you guys check them out on YouTube, IG. They're worth a follow. Definitely good people. A couple things as we wrap up today before we get into the upcoming products. Paul Skeens, Brian, what was the number on it? $550,000 on the Paul Skeens. Was at 366 or 362, I believe. 362,000 when we started recording last week's episode. So jumped quite a bit. Got a little bit of time left. Where is it going to end? Does this card break $1 million? What do you think, Brian? Does it break $1 million? Brian says yes. I agree. I think this card's going to break $1 million. Love to know. Does the Paul Skeens debut 1010 patch auto break the $1 million mark? We'll see. But over $500,000 now with time left. All right, a lot of products dropping this week. Star Wars Chrome Black comes out. Upper Deck Premier Hockey 23-24 comes out. I believe that's still like Bedard, Fantilli, that class. You got Leaf Eclectic Football, Hobby and Jumbo, Panini Origins Basketball, and then Zenith Football. Bunch of different product coming out this week. Football, Star Wars, hockey. Yeah, a lot of good variety. Zenith is always a fun one, not too many cards. I like to lean more personally when ripping on products that have more rookies, inserts, parallels, things that allow you to maybe get some of that value back outside of autos and jerseys. But it does have some really cool vet autos in that product. Panini does a good job with some of the inserts in there. They bring back that, I think it's like Epix, EPIX, I think is in that set. They used to do those in like the early 2000s. I think it was like 04, 05. There was a couple different years. I think it was 05 because I think they have one with like Rogers rookie year. So fun set there. Origins Basketball. Hopefully blank slates are in that one. I haven't looked at the checklist, but hopefully some blank slates there. and then Eclectic Football. This is one of those products. I know we did an interview with Leaf here this week. This is not something we even talked about on the interview. This is not something they even mentioned to us. I actually had not checked this. We're filming this after that interview. But Leaf Eclectic Football was one of the best products they did last year. Think Chronicles for Leaf with all autographs. Our understanding is, from what we've heard with Leaf previously, we didn't ask him this time, but what we've heard previously is that this is like, you've got guys that don't get their autographs back in time for particular products, that don't make it in as redemptions. So if a guy is supposed to be in like Leaf Pro Set Pure but doesn't get it in time and it isn't a redemption, it goes in Eclectic. So it's that like hodgepodge of different brands mixed together. We ripped a case of it last year. It was a fun rip. I thought Leaf did a really good job with it. So I will definitely be checking that one out. So sounds like some potential products to rip this week. Let me know if you guys are going to check any of this product out. But again, if you made it this far, real MVP, keep those comments coming, keep that feedback coming. Who do you guys want to see on future shows? What segments can we add? How can we make this better and more enjoyable for you? Hopefully this was a fun episode. Hopefully this was worth it, but we'll keep trying to make this better if y'all keep listening. Appreciate y'all, but that's all I got for now. Peace, guys.